welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome to anyone who's a newcomer. I'm so happy to have you here, and thank you so much for listening. And I'm super appreciative of my niece today, who she came over yesterday to pick me up, and we went to the movie theater, which, if you have been following my journey, you know that I've done this once before. I went to the movie theater. Gosh, it's been a long time since I went last time, but I used the accessibility technology that they have available for people with who are blind and or have low vision. And what they have are these headphones that have audio descriptions that explain what's going on the screen, while you also hear the script, the dialogue going on the screen, and whatever action and sounds. So it's a lot to listen to, but I've been practicing my listening skills since I had my stroke, and it was a really great experience. Well, yesterday I went with my niece and we went to a different theater, and unfortunately, they had the headphones available, but they didn't work. So we tried several different headphones and it didn't work. So we stayed and listened to the movie. She watched the movie and I listened to the movie, trying my very best to not look at the screen. Can you imagine sitting in a movie theater and listening to a movie, and when it reaches like the climax of the movie, you don't look at the screen? It's a challenge, and one that I lost epically. So I did look at the screen, just for to gauge, since there was no description about where they were and what their environment was like. I would kind of glance at the screen to just take it in to see, okay, are they in this room or that room? And it was too much. I mean, I can't even glance at the screen. It's too much. So I did feel, in the beginning, when it first, I had to accept that it wasn't going to work and I was going to stay and listen to the movie. I did feel this self-pity and felt like I was going to cry because I was feeling sorry for myself. But then I snapped myself out of it through gratitude, and just appreciated the fact that I was able to get out of the house and go sit with my niece for a couple hours. And we had some amazing food, I will give it to them, at the theater. And I got to have a vanilla shake, which is one of my favorite things. So lots of good stuff, even though I was not able to enjoy the movie as I had planned. But I feel like I processed it pretty quickly and was able to get out of a downward spiral. So thank you, for taking me to the movie theater. It was a great experience, regardless of some stupid headphones that weren't working. It was just so nice to be able to get out of the house and connect with a human being and have some great conversations. But over that, she listens to my podcast every day. And I have to say, I don't know that I can have that kind of commitment. Yeah, maybe I should admit that I could have that commitment, because I do go to my morning meeting, go to 2 sobriety meetings every morning. So I guess it's a equal commitment, but I can't tell you and the rest of my listeners enough how much it means to me to have somebody click play and listen to my journey, and to, even more than that, click and give me feedback, and The fact that you are gaining something from what I have to share is exactly why I'm here. So I just wanted to express my gratitude today. I was able to go to a stroke support meeting today. It's one of my favorite groups. It's my very first stroke support group that I joined after I had my stroke, and it's family to me. And I had the opportunity to tell them that today. And we are all different ages, we are all different people, but we all suffer from the same um, event, physical health, event. It impacted us all differently. We all have different deficits. We all have different pains, and we can and can't do different things. But yet, the mental wellness suffers in, I believe, the same way. And so we had a newcomer that was there who was um, really in a lot of emotional pain and is going through the grieving process that I, gosh, I don't even feel like I'm out of the grieving process yet after having my stroke, but it is definitely full of a roller coaster of different feelings, and she was able to come and share those feelings with us, and immediately everybody in the group I could almost feel the group just squeeze tighter to hold her in, and it was a nice experience. I did feel so sad that another person has to go through that grieving process of losing the life that they once had and entering a new life and learning how to accept it, and not just accept it, but learning how to love life again in a different way. Um, I led a support group meeting yesterday, earlier in the day, before we went to the movies. And that one is a vestibular disorder support group for folks that have the vestibular disorder as a result of a stroke or traumatic brain injury. And what we were talking about in the support group was several things. One was that we kind of opened up on was this idea of functioning on a different level than we used to. And this is both, I think, I want to be careful what words I choose. I don't know that it's not intellectually, but yet the speed at which we can process is slower, and we feel it, and it feels like we are intellectually handicapped. It makes us feel, simply put, stupid. And that's what some of us were saying. We were talking about how um, when I make these mistakes, if I don't pay 100% attention to each thing that I do and not multitask, meaning walk while uh, I take my dog's poo-poo bags and I tie it onto the leash. And um, yesterday I was walking towards the door, and at the same time I was trying to tie the poo-poo bag, and I ended up tying the poo-poo bag onto the collar in my other hand rather than onto the leash. And when I reached to open the door, I looked down to put the collar on my dog, and I was like, that was stupid. I know that's a very small and kind of a silly example, but it really represents a bigger problem. And that is that I cannot multitask even simple tasks. I can, if I'm going to walk somewhere, I need to walk somewhere and do nothing else. I almost have on a bad day, and today I would say is one of the worst days because of my experience at the movie theater yesterday, but it was worth it. Emily, don't feel like it wasn't worth it. It was so worth it. But when I'm challenged, like with my vestibular symptoms, then even walking and talking at the same time is challenging. And that sounds silly. That's stuff that we joke about. You know, people like when you haven't had a stroke and you're at work and you're dealing, multitasking, all of these things, and you may joke like, "Oh, I'm surprised I can even walk and talk at the same time." Well, sometimes I have a hard time walking and talking at the same time. And it's hard to go from a high functioning person to being challenged doing just even remedial tasks at the same time. It's a lot different. One person shared this type of health event where you go from being a high functioning person to just with the snap of the finger, you are low functioning. I don't know how else you say it. Um, it's a lot different than a slow decline as you get older. So when I share with people, today I'm having a hard time talking. I can't find my words. When I have somebody reply back to me, oh yeah, I have days like that. Or, oh, that happens to me too. But they haven't had a stroke and it's just either age that's causing that hiccup in their ability to find their words and stuff. It's different. It just is different. And it can be frustrating when we share something about what it's like for us in stroke recovery, and we have somebody who's not in stroke recovery say, "Yeah, me too. I know what that feels like." And I know it's simply because the person is trying to relate in, trying to make you feel like, oh, well, it's okay. It happens to all of us. But I feel like it actually does the opposite. For me, it does the opposite. And that's what we were sharing in the meeting this morning. So, what started us off on that road was talking about fatigue and, that balancing act of trying to figure out like where is my happy place? Where do I uh, stop pushing myself? I know that this is a topic that comes up a lot, but it's so worth it because if I'm still struggling with it as much as I've talked about it, it's a really complex problem. How do I pace myself? How do I know when I need to, oh, you need to go out and exercise? I know exercise is good for me. I know exercise is going to point me in the right direction for growth and healing. But yet, if I walk a certain distance or do something too much, do yoga too much, do too often or something like that, it can actually work against me. So I was sharing about that in the meeting, and somebody else replied to me about how it's no longer just exercise, that I need to get out and exercise. I have to keep in mind the intensity and the timing of the exercise that somebody mentioned yesterday. That is a critical part of us in stroke recovery, exercising, getting the work in, whether it's exercise to build strength or exercise to, for example, heal vestibular symptoms. Um, One of the things that I learned in vestibular therapy was to have this rating scale of how I feel from 1 to 10. And she told me that I never want to get past a 5. If I'm getting past a 5, I'm doing too much and I need to backtrack. So that's been some of the best advice that I received in stroke recovery. And it has always helped me gauge whether I need to stop or go. But as symptoms change and they continue to change, even after 4 years, they still change. Am I at 5 years? No, 4 years. They still change. And some of that is because I think I am still trying to function at a high level. So I'm still doing my podcast and practicing talking every day. I still go for walks. I'm practicing moving my eyes around every day. And I'm doing my exercises. I'm doing painting. I like to practice doing a lot of hobbies where I'm looking at focusing in on small things. I just made some bracelets right before this recording. They're super cute. And so my symptoms as I exercise in various ways, my symptoms change, and they change depending on how much I'm doing, but they also change on the day. And somebody mentioned that yesterday. And I've talked about that when it comes to spoon and cup theory. Every day we wake up with a different number of spoons. And we wake up with our cup either half full, half empty, or somewhere in, somewhere in between. And depending on how I wake up, I have to gauge how much intensity and timing I need to keep in mind for my exercises or just doing anything that day. So everything's changing. And then somebody told me, I don't know where I heard it. I don't know if the doctor said it or I heard it in a support group. I'm not sure, but I heard somewhere that Emgality continues to improve migraines over time. Over months of taking it, it will continue to gradually make you feel better. Well, I've been feeling that that may have happened, but it's not a permanent feel better. It's like my good is a little bit better, but my bad is still just as bad. So it's like a moving target in a way, and it's difficult once you have figured out what your bad is, and your distance, if this makes sense, your distance to get to bad and your actions to get you to bad. Once you've figured that out, once you've had that 0 to 10, I know what makes me get to a 5. I know how long I can do an activity before I get to a 5. Once you figure that out, to have symptoms shift and wane and kind of be dynamic like water, it's hard to figure out on a day-to-day basis how to hit that target. Um, so one thing that I didn't get to bring up in the meeting because we were having such a good conversation, and this was yesterday's meeting, my vestibular meeting, is what does what do warning signs look like for you? So, if you are dealing with a chronic condition and you wake up with a certain amount of spoons, you wake up with your cup half empty, half full, or somewhere in between, and you start going about your day. I asked folks, what does your day look like? We didn't get very far with that. We were generalizing in a lot of ways about taking naps and being slow or moving slow or forgetful. We weren't really talking about our schedule, which is where I wanted to go, but that's okay. I mean, that's what the group is for. It's not about me directing it. It's about trying to guide a conversation, and where the conversation went was a little differently than what I selfishly wanted to find out. And that is, what do warning signs look like for you? So think about that, because for me, the symptoms are a little hard to explain. And I'll try to find the words to explain them for anyone else who is suffering from chronic migraines or is suffering from a vestibular disorder or stroke recovery and having some of those cognitive or physical challenges. What does it look like for you? So for me, um, a early warning sign is a visual fogginess. And for me, what that looks like is, when, when you are, it's kind of later in the day, you've worked all day, and you've been interacting with people all day, your brain's been on, and you are running out of steam, and you catch yourself staring. You know that feeling? That's what visual fogginess is to me, because what I'm doing is I'm staring and I can't snap out of it. It's a being in that mode where I'm just like, yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. It's like staring, but I can't snap out of it. It's my brain has given up trying to process what I see visually. If I try really hard, I can um, get myself to focus in, but that's when my head will start hurting. So I can either allow, and this is something that I've learned over time, thankfully, I can allow the visual fogginess to just fade in. And that's when I know I need to stop. That I need to, typically, if I'm around other people, I will just sit down because it, it it feels like my brain is tired. I mean, I can feel it. It feels just like that feeling when you're slowing down after a long, tough work day. I can feel my brain is shutting down. It's just um, it's going on vacation. Even though my body's there, it's going on vacation. There's nothing I can do about it. Um, there's a lot of physical tension that I feel. Um, that are, I think, signs of me trying to resist. So I feel the head fog, the visual fog set in, and I can feel my back and my shoulders kind of tense up. And I think the reason why that happens is because it's trying to stabilize my head so it doesn't move, so that my visual isn't moving. So physically, I'm tensing up because I don't want to impact any more of what I see. I want things to stop moving. So that's another reason why I sit down, because I can relax my back and shut my eyes. And that's really what my brain and my body want. They want me to shut my eyes. That's what I feel. So if I don't do that, if I don't heed the early warning signs, then I start getting into this cognitive slowness. And what that feels like is, I mean, I don't think that other people can notice it. Maybe my husband notices it, but I notice it that my I start slowing down my sentences. I'm being it if somebody's observing me, somebody who knows me really well, you'll notice that I'm starting to very thoughtfully choose my words. And part of that is because I'm trying to shorten my sentences because I'm starting to get really exhausted. And I'm also trying to end the conversation because it's because I start feeling a little bit of anxiety about the fact that I'm getting fatigued, and I'm afraid that I'm going to verbally walk myself into a corner that I can't get out of. And it's different than the corner I used to walk myself into at my career. This is more like I'm walking into a corner where I'm going to end up needing a word that I can't find. And that gets me really frustrated. So I will slow down, find the words that I need to say that are going to wrap up the conversation. And that fatigue, when I get to that point, it feels like I'm verbally walking through sand. You know what I mean? Like I'm verbally trying to sift through a bunch of cognitive noise, and I can't find a stable um, a stable step, I guess, for lack of a better word. So that's what my early signs are, and where they'll get me to if I don't pay attention. Um, so I wanted to talk about that this morning because I wanted to, it's not morning, by the way. It's afternoon. But I wanted to share that because part of my process of accepting what's going on with me is knowing that I'm not the only one. So I know that my niece, for example, Emily, is dealing with chronic migraines as well. And it's fascinating. I didn't even know it was happening to you, Emily, until I think after I was so wrapped up in my own pain that I didn't know you were dealing with the same thing until I did know. And to hear the what it feels like, your journey through that, and how frustrating and sometimes I just can't get up, and sometimes I just can't go to work, and I have good days and I have bad days, and this is what I'm doing to do something about it, to take action and not be a victim, but be somebody who is going to stand up and walk through it. And even though it's hard, stand up anyway and stand up tall anyway. And I see you and I appreciate, and I have a lump in my throat talking about you because I appreciate that we get to walk this type of journey together. And you may not, you're listening to my podcast and you may not notice how much I watch you and I listen to how you're doing it because I don't have to work, you know. Yes, I have different symptoms, and yes, I have some additional deficits, but I see someone who's standing up and standing tall and saying, I'm not going to be taken away from this. And I see somebody who is seeing and noticing their own fatigue and making decisions about it. And that's what I think when someone like you, someone like me, when we have these experiences, we have to talk about it and we have to tell other people because when we do, it's gonna resonate with someone else. And that's exactly what happened today in my stroke support meeting was I heard someone saying, I walk out onto my deck and I think, I don't even want to live like this. That's what she said. I don't even want to live if my life is going to be like this. And that alone, that hearing her say that today was fuel for my passion for recovering out loud because I don't want anyone to feel that way. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's possible. It's possible, and I want to be an example to show how it's possible. So if I can and just articulate what fatigue feels like for me and how to stop when I reach it, then maybe I can help somebody else. So that's the purpose of today. So I hope that this was helpful to you. Emily, I love you. Thanks for letting me say your name. And I will talk to you all tomorrow.